My dad died 3 years ago and left me quite a substantial estate. I've worked with him all my life at the business and I run them now. 6 months ago, a girl came to me and told me that she's my half-sister. My father was with a girl when he was married to my mother who became pregnant, and they've had a baby and another couple adopted the child. That's when my mother left him. I knew about her existence but did not know her name or anything about her until she showed up. We did DNA tests to make sure she is who she says she is, and yeah, she is. I did not feel much about the whole thing. I mean, she was a stranger to me. She told me that she wants to get to know her biological family, and that's the only chance she has at having a family since her adopted family have never bonded well with her. So, I gave her the chance. We spent some time together and I introduced her to other people in the family, and until now, I thought things were well. Last week, she came to me and asked about our father's death. After a little conversation, she asked me what I'd think about giving her fair share of the inheritance since she was her daughter. She told me that she knows that I was at our father's side when he built everything, and it's unfair to ask for half of everything, but maybe a quarter or a fifth is a reasonable share. I told her that, to be fair, it would be zero. I reminded her that I still stand by my original offer to help her with education or her career, if that's what she needs, but I'm not going to give her handouts. This is what I had originally told her right after the DNA test. She became angry and told me, how is that fair that she's the one who was abandoned and I was the one who had everything in my life? And even now, I get everything and she gets nothing. Then she left. She's quite close to my grandparents. Losing my father was difficult for them, and having her around was probably what helped them move on. So I wasn't surprised when my grandfather called me and told me that I'm not being fair here. That she's my sister and I should come to some sort of agreement with her about this. I told him what I told her about helping her education and career. He eventually told me that he's very disappointed in me, and he's never said that to me before. Honestly, it hurts since I've always respected my grandfather, and now that he's told me this, I'm beginning to doubt whether I'm doing the right thing here. My father knew of my sister's existence, and if he wanted to leave her anything, why wouldn't he? But he didn't. He left small things for other people. I don't know. I've only known her for 6 months, and it seems unreasonable to me that she'd give her a portion of the inheritance. So, I thought I would consult others and see what you guys think of the whole situation. Long backstory short, I've lived with my father, well, forever. He got married to a woman, Patricia, the stripper if you're old, for a green card in about 2008-ish. It was always for the green card. I know, wrong, blah blah blah. She needed money because she'd just been fired and her daughter was having health problems. Her mother encouraged her to drink and smoke at 12. Wonder why the health problems were there. So, my father made her an employee so she'd make the minimum amount to sponsor him. $500 a week. She did nothing. She lived in Alabama while we lived in Georgia. He got his green card and he continued to pay her because he was an idiot and did not get a prenup. I lived with him and worked for him, legit worked for him, so I saw and dealt with him every day. We were close. I had my first child in August 2019, his only grandchild. He was diagnosed with cancer in August of 2019 as well. I helped him through all of his medical stuff, took over as much of the business as I could, was his home care provider when he was in the hospice. He died in June. When he was diagnosed, he made a will saying absolutely nothing was going to go to his wife. Everything was to me or my son. The house was put in my name with a quit-claim deed. The cars were all transferred as well. His and her relationship consisted of her literally texting him throughout the week asking for more money. "Hubby, I need more money. Please deposit. My love, I need more money. I have bills. Husband, I need you to pay my taxes now." Even though I made more than her, she paid $3,000 plus more in taxes and refused to use our legit accountants as well. Well, guys, this was constant. He was never rich and his company is small and still has bad seasons. He did not even tell her that he had a heart attack in 2016. He did not tell her when I was pregnant, did not tell her when he was diagnosed with cancer until a month before he died. He called her begging for help because he felt like a burden to me, and he figured he was paying her so she could at least help. Well, she never showed. In Georgia, a wife is entitled to 1 year of support, so I told her in the middle of COVID I was dropping her money to $300 a week. I did not tell her my father had died a month before. I did tell her myself and 2 employees had to take pay cuts because of COVID, which was the truth. The very next day, she showed up at my house and just walked in. I told her, and she yelled at me. She brought her mother, and she yelled at me too. She made a big deal about wanting to meet her grandson, which is my son, and how much her and my father loved each other. Lie. My father hated her. She left, and I thought it was over. I was going to continue to pay back her $300 and nothing else. Then the threat started. How dare I have lied to her? How dare I cremate him, which was his choice? I had to have her approval. I needed to pay her more because it's what he would have wanted. She was also going to come and take what belonged to her, his ashes and all his personal belongings. She left a purse with him with some immigration stuff in it, which she always wanted. I told her to duck off. Well, a couple days passed and I went to visit a friend 2 hours away on a Saturday. She showed up at my work and demanded I met her there right now to give her all the stuff, including my father's laptops, phones, and ashes. She threatened to break in, call the cops on me, and everything. I was literally in tears on the phone with my immigration lawyer, the probate lawyer, and 911. Both lawyers are wonderful people and knew if I called on a Saturday, it was an emergency. They eventually left, telling me on the phone that I was a witch and they were going to get me. Patricia and her mom. Drama happens and I hear nothing from them. I've been paying the $300 a week. She texted me today asking when I was going to pay her taxes. I said never. She told me it was my job to pay them, and that's what my father would have wanted because he loved her and did not want us to be like this. I told her all I had to do, according to the law and will, was pay for her 1 year of support, which I was doing since the day he died. She flipped out, called me a liar and an hour much that my father loved her, and he'd never want this to happen to her. Blah, blah, blah. This chick expected me to continue to pay for everything for her. Until when? She dies? I must pay her cable, her taxes, her everything. Entitlement? I found my cousin accidentally among the homeless yesterday. I almost did not recognize him and had to go back and look more carefully. There he was, in awful shape as you can imagine. Well, we live in a country with a very bad economy and the homeless don't get any sort of support or help. It's really awful for them here. My cousin has always had major depression and an intellectual disability. He could not finish school and had problems keeping jobs. His parents were quite rich and always helped him out, so I never thought I'd see this. I brought him back home and he basically explained what had happened in the past 3 years since his father died. His mom died many years before that. Basically, due to his mental issues, she successfully convinces their father to leave everything to her, that she will support him and look after him without allowing him to risk his inheritance and future. But she kicks him out after their father passed away and gives him nothing. Well, my husband is a lawyer and told me that legally there's nothing he can do, unfortunately, aside from being pissed at my cousin for doing this to his own brother. Well, we were looking into options here. He clearly needs professional help, but it's difficult to arrange here since they're super expensive. We also can't put him back on the streets, but we can't keep him here forever either. We want to help him the best way we can, but we just have no idea. We've looked extensively and there's no support from charities or social services that can help him here either. Any solution is going to have to be privately funded. Any ideas welcome. My grandmother passed away and left her house and all her assets to my uncle, which was one of 5 children. He had lived with her for 50 years, including cooking and cleaning and contributing to the house financially with his disability checks. 3 out of the 4 remaining children, my aunts and uncles, freaked the hell out and tried to take him to court, which they failed. And since then have made his life as miserable as possible by harassing him and insulting him, saying they were entitled to an equal share of the house, and if he was a decent human being, he would sell the house and split it. This actually made him quite ill, and they backed off, freaking out about him dying and who he was left in his will. Finally, they were so generous and said they would leave him alone if he made a will saying it would be left to them all equally. Hoping for him to die soon, I guess. Well, he refused to say who he was going to leave his stuff to in his will. He said it was none of their business. Now, those 3 aunts and uncles, as well as their children, 5 children, his nieces and nephews, have declared he is no longer family because he stole their inheritance and clearly did not care about them. My mother and I are still visiting him, but otherwise he is an isolated, disabled guy in his 60s, who has now been dropped by his entire family. No Christmas, no birthdays, no invitation to family events. He had to deal with being disabled his entire life and caring for his mother. Now she's dead, and the majority of his family have turned their backs on him over money. By the way, it's not even a massive sum of money. The house is worth $200,000, and there was $50,000 in savings. So, a decent amount, but it's not even $1 million like he's just hoarding it. He has the house that he's lived in for 50 years and contributed to the upkeep and mortgage for those 50. Plus, a bit of savings that will probably need to be spent on the house over the years as it needs some work done. And his disability checks. I am disgusted by my family's actions. His brothers and sisters have abandoned him over money, and all their kids are just going along with it. I want to cut them out of my life for good. They have insulted him, harassed him, tried to take him to court, and they made him sicker and demonstrated that they never cared about him or his death. I don't want myself or my daughter, who's 6 months, to have anything to do with them anymore. And well, my husband agrees. However, my mom is begging me to still go to family events with her. We do big family celebrations, barbecues, Christmas, birthdays, restaurants, meals out, etc. She wants me to go along without my uncle, as he's now banned from all family events, and just smile and pretend it's all okay. Because she said she, quote, doesn't want to end up like him. Shunned. Anyways, well, I'm okay with that 100%. They've never done anything for me, and they are willing to shrug off family members over feeling entitled to an inheritance. None of them even care that the house had been split. He would be homeless and disabled since he wouldn't have the cash to buy a new place. None of them will acknowledge that he deserves the house, considering he actually financially contributed to it for 50 years, whereas they did not spend a penny on it. My mom loves all her brothers and sisters, even though they are doing this, and is begging me not to rock the boat, as it could come back to her and she can't imagine a life without all these family gatherings. She agrees that he deserves the house, and she did not take part in the court attempt to question the inheritance, and she's still going to visit him in private. But she will not stand against the rest of the family either. What should I do in your opinion? Go and let my daughter be brought up around these people who would do this, or stand my ground and say if they aren't willing to treat him fairly, then they are not going to be a part of my life either. Either way, I will still be visiting my shunned uncle every week, and my daughter will get to know him. There's no way I'm partaking in this pathetic Coventry just to try and make him so emotionally vulnerable he'll give them the house. I feel he's perfectly entitled to it. If I keep seeing the family as normal, I feel like I'm condoning to taking part in his exclusion. If I refuse and say exclude me too if you can't be decent human beings, it will very much upset my mother, and may even have consequences for her, as family can be very petty and vindictive, and don't like people disagreeing with them. Hey guys, Mr. Reddito here. So this story was actually rather sad. In my opinion, I think OP should just straight up tell the family they are in the wrong. I mean, the grandma left the money to the uncle because she felt like it was just the right thing to do and the right place to go. It was the grandmother's money, so that's really all that needs to be said. I think he deserved it, and it going there, he earned it by upkeeping the house, and he needed most of it to live his life. This is a sad situation all the way around, though. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys would do if you were in this exact same scenario. And guys, that's going to bring today's story to an end. I hope you enjoyed today's content. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel with the bell notifications on, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.